The Mahou Tsukai mod is probably the best magic mod in Minecraft that you haven't played yet. To get started, you first need a blood circle. To make one, you need to injure yourself and click the keybind M. You can use a dagger to injure yourself and increase the bleeding effect, but you can just take some fall damage instead. Next, you need catalysts or gem powders to perform magic. To make them, you can use a hammer or a mortar and pestle. Each of the 7 catalysts have different abilities. Iron makes boundaries, Ender makes displacement spells, Diamond makes projection spells, Emerald makes exchange spells, Gold makes mystic spells, Quartz makes intelligence spells, and Ender Eye makes mystic high spells. Boundaries deal with protective area of effects spells centered on a magic circle. Displacement spells deal with teleportation magic. Projection spells deal with weapons. Exchange spells usually involve a trade of some sort, often to refund or generate mana. Mystic spells are unique, often offensive, spells which provide miscellaneous effects. Mystic eyes are sight-based spells. Intelligence spells typically deal with decision-making, often focused around entities.
Yo, hi, it is me, the Dirt House Maker. Please sub. Okay, bye. Gotta go make my house made up of dirt, lol.
The alarm boundary lets you know when something enters your boundary. The displacement boundary teleports things from one side of the boundary to another. The enclosure boundary is for people too lazy to build bases. The tangible boundary is an invisible barrier that lets you pass through, but nothing else. The gravity boundary increases the gravity within the boundary, for everyone except you. The boundary of drain life turns the health of nearby things into health, fullness, and mana for you. Protective displacement makes you an Enderman lol. Also it needs a cloth. The projectile displacement teleports to the last arrow you shot, assuming it still exists. The order displacement teleports you to a nearby order displacement circle, in the order that they were placed. The equivalent displacement can teleport things a long distance between 2 circles, assuming both chunks are loaded and there's something standing on each circle. The mental displacement is an astral projection with a range of 20 blocks. To get out of it, simply exceed the range and you'll be back in your own body. The projection spell's first use, memorizes a tool, or item you're looking at, can be in something's hand, or can be on the ground. The second use gives you a copy of the tool, with 5 durability. The crimson-black keys of proximity projection summons a weapon, which can teleport you to the thing you're attacking. Also it has like a 100 reach lol. Bow of weapon projectiles, summons a bow which lets you shoot tools, but not arrows. The reality marble teleports you and your target. If you don't have a target, just you, to your reality marble, you should be teleported to the same spot every time. The power consolidation spawns a large lake, throw an enchanted sword in the lake, and then go diving to get a new, holier, sword with damage equivalent to the sword you threw in, including its enchantments. The treasury projection summons weapons from your treasury to pelt enemies with. Must have weapons in inventory or ender chest for this to do anything. The damage replication spell replicates damage in potion effects that happens to you, to the thing you use it on. The Row AI spell creates a big shield, which bounces off entities other than you. The Mystic Staff of Explosive Mana Condensation makes a big explosion. Long charge up. Big mana cost. Shift right click for a smaller AO attack mode. The Mystic Staff of Spatial Disorientation shoots entities really far. Aim at an entity to just throw one. Aim at an empty block to throw everything near the block. The borrowed authority borrows the authority of the gods, and you get God's power for a limited time. No fly though. The cup of heaven forms some sort of polygon out of these circles without the cloth. Fill the polygon with nodes without the cloth. Make a scroll with the cloth to activate the cup. The Mystic Eyes of Binding spell gives you the ability to stare near entities to halt their movements. They have to be facing you. The Mystic Eyes of Minor Clairvoyance lets you predict the movements of some entities. The Mystic Eyes of the Black Flame creates difficult to contain black flames at the target location. Causes wither damage to entities which come in contact with them. The Mystic Eyes of Death Collection lets you collect souls, prevent your death for every full soul collected. The Mystic Eyes of Reversion lets you stare near entities to revert them to the way they should be. Potion effects are cleansed. Buffs from Mahou Tsukai are cleansed. Endermen stop dodging arrows. Shulker boxes can't block arrows. Withers can't block arrows. Nether mobs can burn. Water mobs can drown. Husks catch fire in the sun. The Mystic Eyes of Facesight spell allows you to see the and ley lines. The Mystic Eyes of Insight allows you to see the inventory of blocks and mobs, as well as potion effects and main hand details for mobs. The Summon Familiar spell summons a bird. It talks, wanders, and tells you what it sees or senses every so often. You can name it. It might die when you're logged off, though, out of loneliness. The Recall Familiar spell calls your familiar back to you. The Familiar Exchange spell switches places with your familiar. The Shared Vision spell lets you see what an entity or player sees. The Familiar's Garden uses a familiar. Create an area where everyone's friendly. This area moves with the familiar. The Damage Exchange spell turns the damage you take into mana. The Chronal Exchange spell gives you some mana per second half the day, and takes away the mana per second the other half the day. If you create it at 7 AM, it will give you mana between 1 AM and 1 PM. The Durability Exchange spell converts durability on tools to mana. You can just put the tools on top of the circle and it'll damage them and try to fill your mana bar. The Catalyst Exchange randomly converts powdered catalysts you put on it into other catalysts. The Alchemical Exchange spell converts certain blocks in a 5x5x5 area underneath it into other random blocks, usually of the same tier. As an example, stone may become other types of stone, and sand may become dirt. Works primarily on natural blocks that spawn regularly in the world, not things like block of diamond. The contract creates a circle and you gotta stand on it. Any players who are also standing on the contract circle nearby will form a contract with you, allowing them to pass through negative effects. The Immunity Exchange can be used on either yourself or an enemy you're looking at. The affected entity does not take damage from repeats of the same damage type, but takes double damage from damage types which were different to the last one they took. The Retribution spell is one of many secret spells which lets you swap health percentage with the target. Mana cost scales with health swapped.
Yo, hello, it is me again. This is the end of the video. Go watch other videos and subscribe. Okay, bye lol.